Welcome back into another NBA DFS video. My name is Eric Polzin. You can follow me at 905 Sports on pretty much any social media platform. I'm going to be breaking down this 10-game slate. It's a big one, okay? But I do want to start off this video with reminding you guys that we need to be in the Discord chat before lineup lock. It is a live Discord chat as well, about 30 minutes prior to lineup lock. I say that because, well, the Discord chat really called out the Shy news, okay? And that really changed the whole dynamic of the slate. So that also is just one thing in general that I want to point out is that we finally got our first real slate breaking news after lineup lock or right around lineup lock. Okay. That's going to happen occasionally. Just want to remind you guys that yes, this is NBA DFS. Stuff does change throughout the night. So a player like Dort, who I liked at the start of the day, really became obsolete once Shy was ruled in, and Shy would have been the best player on the slate, that morning, if we knew that he was going to be in and Giddey was out. So just a reminder, gotta stay on top of NBA DFS. Also, just want to give you guys a reminder as well. If you guys enjoy this coverage, make sure to like and subscribe. That helps us be able to put out more DFS content for you guys, okay? And we enjoy putting out the NBA DFS content for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into this 10-game slate. All right, let's start off with the injury news here, guys. There is a lot of kind of significant injury news. So Darius Garland is going to be out in this one again. We think, Shy was ruled out yesterday, but he should be out. Garland's out. Terry Rozier, game time is decision. He is doubtful. Sengun, he is out. You got Suggs, he is out. Vessel, game time decision. He's looking like he's doubtful. Russell Westbrook, doubtful. Okay, so we have a decent amount of significant news here to go off of. So just looking at that right away, guys, with Garland ruled out, I think we just go back to Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell should be a very stellar play just across the board. FanDuel and DraftKings, I'm not too worried about his price point at all. 50 DK points in the first 3 games with Garland out. He saw a huge bump in usage. So he is someone that I think we're just going out of our way to play at 9.5. And then just looking at Charlotte, I guess with LaMelo Ball and also Terry Rozier looking like they're both going to be out, then yes, someone like Dennis Smith Jr. does make a lot of sense to me. Dennis Smith Jr. is a guy that had 34 minutes last game and then also saw 37 DK points. He did see a bump in his usage at about 12%. That's a big bump to me. And his DK production, which isn't too crazy given the amount of minutes he had been playing, but it bumped up 11 DK points. So that is pretty good. And then Kelly Oubre as well. Kelly Oubre is someone that I think you could look at as well. You're going to get a bump in usage as well. The minutes should be there as well. About a 3% bump in his normal usage rate and a pretty decent bump in DK points, 9 DK points. But once again, guys, small sample sizes that we have going in here. We can see his first 2 games, kind of obvious as to why. Okay, so Kelly Oubre is a play that, I like. And I do just want to point out, guys, if Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be getting those minutes as well, then someone like Jalen Brunson is intriguing to me, kind of given the matchup, okay? Given the matchup with Dennis Smith Jr., a poor defender. We know that's why he's not been getting minutes in the NBA for a decent amount of seasons now. It's his terrible defense. So Jalen Brunson is someone that I think could be a decent value, a guy that's putting up a lot of shot attempts, finally had a pretty good game in his last game. So I don't mind Jalen Brunson. I think that could be a sneaky play. And then with Jalen Suggs ruled out, once again, I do think Cole Anthony is going to be a decent play as well. Didn't get as many minutes as I was really expecting in the last game. Did seem like he got into a little bit of foul trouble at the end of the first half. In the last game, they did take him out with about 2 minutes left when he got 2 fouls. I don't know if that was exactly foul reason, if they were worried about foul trouble, but he did come out, which was kind of strange to me. Now, 0 for 3 or 0 for 5 on 3-point attempts. If he makes one of those, you're pretty happy with his night. 6 for 18. I do like that the shot attempts were there with Suggs out. So he is someone at 6.1 I do think we can look at. And, obviously if you're trying to maybe potentially go Mitchell, you can run it back with Cole Anthony. And then with Russell Westbrook most likely not going to play in this one, we have to see. It's Westbrook as well. Patrick Beverley should be a decent price point play. You're not going out of your way to play him, but if you end up on him as the last player into your build, you're kind of just I'm good with it for now. I'll come back to it later on in the evening and see if we need to make adjustments there. Austin Reeves, strangely, in a very small sample size, has seen a 9% bump in usage, which if you want to play him, you can. Pat Bevs was 5.4, and then Kendrick Nunn is 4.8. So, all players you can look at as well. Lonnie Walker is a player that is popping up value-wise, and I'll get into this as well, guys. We can see, on DraftKings, one of the better value plays out there. Maybe not someone you're playing on FanDuel given the $500 price bump, but potentially someone you could look at there. And even more so, like if you are someone that plays Yahoo, I know not a lot of people do, but a little bit better of a play on Yahoo as well. So 4.7, yes, like not a lock and load, but once again, kind of one of those players, if you end up on him, you end up on him. And I do think like LeBron James should be cemented into a very solid game. Once again, we've seen him be very productive. I will take 50 DK points at 10K, like with the upside for him to go for 60 DK points. I will absolutely take that. And with Russell Westbrook out, I do think we are going to see a big like usage rate for LeBron. It's been about 37% per 36 minutes, okay, and about 53 DK points per 36. Obviously, he's been playing a little bit more than 36 minutes, so should be a fine play for you. And then the last kind of in-out situation I want to touch on is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. So Josh Richardson could see an increase in minutes. There's been one game where he saw 28 minutes and he had 34 DK points in that. Another game he had 21 minutes, had 19 DK points. Like those are two games in which we would take at this price point for Josh Richardson. Now, the worry with him is that we don't know for sure that those minutes are going to be there for him. Let's look at the projections. So he is one of the best values on DraftKings, 3.9, good value there right now. So he's projected to get 28 minutes. So yes, if he does get those minutes, then he is going to be someone that you want to be targeting on this slate. At his price point, given his multiple position eligibility, that's the appeal to him. Both on FanDuel and DraftKings, you can make a lot of things work by playing Josh Richardson. Then I do think Trey Jones should be a solid play. Like if he's going to be getting 30 minutes in this one, I do see him scoring right around 30 DK points, which obviously at 5.5 is going to be a good value for you. Yeah, he ranks out as a pretty good value play on DraftKings. Probably not someone you're playing on FanDuel. That's a big price bump there. But yeah, certainly in play for DraftKings. I do just want to point out Keldon Johnson as well. Keldon Johnson has seen a big bump in usage with Devin Vassell out. Like Kendall Johnson could be a very sneaky play. 31.4% usage rate. And this is per 36, like 49 DK points. Obviously, once again, guys, we have small sample sizes at the start of the season, but to me, that's highly encouraging. Obviously not going to get 36 minutes just based off of the minutes that he has been getting, but let's just say he gets like 33 minutes or so. Could be someone that we see get 38 DK points, which on this slate, we'll take that. Is priced up a little bit, not someone you're particularly going out of your way to play. All right, now that we got through the injury news, guys, I know it's a 10-game slate that took a little bit longer than it typically does. Let's just talk about the value that is out there. So on DraftKings, Royce O'Neal's popping up, and that's because Royce O'Neal has just been getting a ton of minutes. Projected to get 36 minutes once again in this one. I don't disagree. It's not something that I'm going out of my way to play. Kind of just I talk about this a lot, a shoulder shrug play. Like if you're closing out your build and you end up on him at that price point range, like I'm fine with it. You need a forward to close out your build. I'm fine with it. Like not someone I'm going out of my way to play, but not someone you're like afraid of. Jalen Brunson, yeah, in that matchup, guys, projected to be one of the best values on the slate going against Dennis Smith Jr. That is a matchup that does make sense that you want to be targeting. So I don't mind that. Gordon Hayward with Terry Rozier out. You could make a strong argument that he's a good value play. I like Kelly Oubre a little bit more. I like Oubre's upside a little bit more, but Gordon Hayward does make sense. And then Dennis Smith popping up there. Lauri Markkanen still a good value play. Had a terrible night shooting. That's going to happen in NBA, and in NBA DFS. Players are going to have terrible night shooting, so he could be a value play. And honestly, guys, like if Markkanen struggles, then you could go with Jared Vanderbilt, who has been solid. And I'll touch on that play a little bit more in a second. DeAndre Hunter popping up FanDuel wise, $700 price decrease on FanDuel. So that could be someone you're looking at. Gordon Hayward popping up again. RJ Barrett on FanDuel. That's kind of interesting. Let me just pull him up here. Okay. I guess. Yeah. At 5.7 or what was he priced at? 5.9 on FanDuel. I could see that. That's not terrible. I guess I could see Grayson Allen on FanDuel as well. Like not someone that's really going to break the slate. I mean, he could get hot from 3-point land. But someone you're just playing to get like 20 FanDuel points. So I could see that there as well. Jabari Smith is very interesting to me as well. Jabari Smith does have center eligibility on DraftKings as well. So he's going to be more in play there. But FanDuel, $200 cheaper there. A value play that you could be looking at as well. And then just real quickly, guys, as well, just touching on the game over and unders. Which games do you want to be targeting? We have some decent games here. Atlanta versus Detroit, 231 over and under. Brooklyn versus Milwaukee, 232.5. That's pretty high, obviously. San Antonio versus Minnesota, 232. That's also high. Pacers versus Bulls, 234. Houston versus Utah, the highest over and under game on the slate, which last time they played was not the case, but 235 there. So we do have some games in which we want to be targeting, games in which are going to be higher scoring. So with that, let's just break down position by position. Okay, so real quickly, before we get into position by position, the ownership just updated as I was doing this video, which is awesome. Obviously, 10-game slate, obviously recording in the morning. It does differ as to when this gets updated. The bigger the slate, kind of the harder it is for the data to get pushed in there. But yeah, Josh Richardson looking like the highest owned player on the slate makes sense. Value, price point play that people are going to be on. Patrick Beverley, I don't know if I exactly agree with that, but it's someone that you guys could look at. Kendall Johnson, 24% projected ownership, that makes sense. Lauri Markkanen, high ownership, that makes sense. Trey Jones, that makes sense. Like all this stuff makes sense. I like this. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have to differentiate too much from the highest owned players on the slate right now as they're projected. Maybe some news breaks, but this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. And then I know a lot of people like FanDuel, and I appreciate when we specifically cover that as well. So looking at it on FanDuel, who's the highest projected owned players on the slate? DeMar DeRozan, that's kind of interesting. Kelly Olynyk, interesting there as well. Ben Simmons, yeah, I don't know. 6K is a cheap price point. I don't know. I struggle with that. Like Giannis should be high owned. Dennis Smith should be high owned there. RJ Barrett does make sense to be high owned. Jake Paul makes sense to be high owned. This could be where you're finding the biggest edges on FanDuel as opposed to DraftKings. So now we'll get into the position by position. And I'm doing position by position, guys, because it is a big 10-game slate. I don't want this video to be too long for you guys. So looking at, guys, I do want to just play Donovan Mitchell at 9.5. Yes, in that matchup, you're not worried about it too much. With Darius Garland out, he should be a very solid play. Should be able to get 45 DK points to possibly 60 DK points. He's a play that I like a lot. The minutes should be there. Should be a safe play. Should be an upside play as well. From there, Tyrese Halliburton, a fine play. If you end up on him, you do. Could easily go for 40 DK points in this one. Been over 40 DK points in every game thus far. Should be a solid play. Really should be. And I believe the game over and under was very high for that game as well. It is. It's very high, 232. Let's see the spread on that. I think they're projected to lose by a decent amount, 7 points. So as long as that game stays close for long enough, he should be a strong play for you. The problem is, I don't know if we have to play him. You got Kevin Porter Jr. going against the Utah Jazz, a game with the highest over and under, a game in which he just went for 50 DK points. And, 3 out of his 4 games thus far have been very solid, productive games. And even his worst game, 30 DK points, that is fine. That's not killing you. So he is a strong play, a strong price point play, especially going against Utah. He's the player that I'll be playing. Tyler Hero, guys. Tyler Hero, still very cheap. Tyler Hero, still playing extremely well, especially given this price point. You look at Kevin Porter Jr. compared to Tyler Hero. Yes, the matchup's a little bit better for Porter, but we're getting a significant price decrease for two guys that are averaging the same amount of points. I touched on it, on the last slate. Tyler Hero was an elite play, ended up with 49 DK points. He has been a very productive point per minute player this season, and those minutes should continue to be there for him. So for me, it's going to be tough for me not to play Tyler Hero once again on this slate. From there, Jalen Green does make a lot of sense. Jalen Green, just shooting the ball a ton, has a nice safe floor because of that. In a game in which you want to be targeting, a player that could easily go for 40 DK points, a player that shouldn't hurt you on this slate, given that cheap price point. Looking at Cole Anthony, I don't mind. I kind of touched on it already. Jalen Suggs is out. He could be a player that's giving you 30 to 40 DK points. Any of those outcomes should be there. At the very least, is going to give you a nice safe floor. Trey Jones, a very strong, I think, price point play on this slate. We saw on DraftKings, people are loving him as a play, as they should. Going to be a high ownership play, which sucks there, but I like him. Should be a guy that gets you around 5x to possibly 6x. Could he get to 35 DK points? He could. I love the price point of him. Some people like Patrick Beverley. I don't particularly love him. And then Josh Richardson, kind of already mentioned him. Josh Richardson, 3.9, cheap price point for a guy that gives you multiple position eligibility. And then also Dennis Smith Jr., strong price point play, kind of a revenge game, I guess, with the Knicks as well, if you guys believe in the revenge game narrative. And then looking at forwards, yes, if you can afford to pay up for Giannis, do it. Giannis is a strong play. I do think he's going to get to 60 DK points. That game is projected to be close with Brooklyn. It's projected to be a higher scoring game. He could easily go for 60 DK points. And as long as Chris Middleton's still out, which he is, Giannis should be in for a high DK point total. I do love LeBron James on the slate. The problem with LeBron James is I feel like it's just tough to fit him into our builds. I do think we are going to be locking in around 50 DK points with Russell Westbrook doubtful. If Westbrook plays, I do think that makes LeBron a little bit less appealing, but he should still be a good play for you. Keldon Johnson, I mentioned, I do think he's going to be a strong price point play for you. 6.8, cheap price point for a guy that probably is going to go for 35 DK points. I would say the range of outcomes is 35 to 45 DK points tonight. Should be a strong price point play for you. Gordon Hayward, a lot of people are on. I don't hate him. He could go for 40 DK points. I just like Kelly Oubre a little bit more. I think the upside is going to be there for him a little bit more. Shoots the ball a ton. Okay, guys. 20 shot attempts last game, 13 the previous game. Like, if he gets hot, he could easily break the slate as well. Jabari Smith Jr. going to be playing center for the Houston Rockets. It seems like had 34 minutes in the last game, was able to put up 42 DK points. 2 of his last 3 games, given this price point, would be absolutely enough. We would take that for sure. And given the, center minutes, I do think that's going to be more likely to be there. So he is someone that I'm actually kind of playing in the center spot a little bit more than I am the forward spot. Like Kelly Olynyk, Isaiah Stewart, they're both fine plays. They're not plays I'm like particularly going out of my way to play. We'll say Jared Vanderbilt, if he does get 30 minutes like he did in the last game, highly intriguing, especially going against Houston. He's had 3 straight games of over 30 DK points, and you can get him at 5.1 on DraftKings. That's an insanely cheap price point. Okay, you can play him at power forward or center. Like in lineups where I'm not playing Lauri Markkanen, which I'll touch on in a second here, I like playing Vanderbilt because I do think it could be one or the other. So yes, touching on Lauri Markkanen. Guys, he had a bad shooting night. 7-4-19 is terrible, and he didn't make a single 3. And also, didn't make a free throw. 0 for 3 from the free throws, okay? Like, it's pretty obvious he just had a terrible shooting night. And could that happen again tonight? It could, but, it's not likely. At the very least, he should have a decent shooting night. So shooting the ball a ton, is just an off night. If he's going to shoot the ball a lot, I do expect him to have a much more productive game. Okay, so 6.5, I do think some people are going to just stray away from him. I think it's a great chance to get back on him. Yeah, I kind of touched on it. Just had a bad shooting night is what it is. And that's really it for plays for now. I know KJ Martin did play a lot of minutes in the last game, but didn't do much with those minutes. Could be a price point play for you if you want. Yeah, that's it for now. And then center-wise, I don't mind Pascal Siakam if you guys can afford to pay up for him. I think you can. I do think Vooch is still very cheap for a guy that's extremely consistent for a game in which is projected to be a higher scoring game. I don't mind Vooch. Podol is probably the one center play I like the most going against Minnesota, a matchup that they played in. In the last game, he was able to put up 40 DK points against them. Been a pretty consistent player each of the last 3 games. Like, we will certainly take 35 DK points. I guess the biggest issue with him is the minutes haven't exactly been there. If we could get 32 minutes, obviously we would love that. Not secure minute-wise, but should be a strong price point play for you. And that's really it center-wise. So let's just finish this out. I'm going to put Jabari Smith in the center spot. I'm going to put Josh Richardson in the forward spot, Tyler Hero in the shooting guard spot, and then utility, we have 4.5 left over. Could go KJ Martin, could go Patrick Beverly. Honestly, I wish we could fit Lonnie Walker or even Vanderbilt in there. That'd be nice. We'll figure it out. Someone did ask in the comments, what is the goal pretty much of the first look build? The question was, is it a low risk build or a high risk build? That really just depends on the slate. What I'm trying to accomplish with kind of this first look build is to give you guys the feel of the slate. Give you guys the feel of the lineup process, kind of where are the starting points for the lineup process and where you can make pivots from potentially in cash or GPP. It's just a starting point for you guys. Okay. I want it to be a tool for you guys to see kind of what the thought process is. So yeah, for the sake of just putting out a build, first look build wise, let's go Patrick Beverly, high owned right now, whatever. All right. That's all we have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe. Remember, if you guys want to become a Occupy Fantasy member, make sure to check it out. Links in the description below. You get access to all the tools that we already featured on this video, as well as the Discord chat that is live before locked there. So make sure to check that out as well. All right. Good luck on this slate, guys.